Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today I have a exciting video that I have been preparing for quite a long time. So I actually began this probably about a month ago, I would say. I can't remember the exact date or anything, but basically I had a kind of fun idea that I wanted to build a big terrarium, like the ones that you see on Instagram, or maybe not quite like that, but you know, like large size. And I've kind of dabbled for a while in small like terrariums in fish bowls and vases and stuff like that, but I've never really kind of delved into the big terrarium arena. So I initially kind of had a look around and realised that the big terrarium / vivarium containers were extremely expensive. So because I am a thrifty being, because not everyone can afford like £150 on just the outside, I headed to Gumtree and Facebook Marketplace and looked out for a load of secondhand fish tanks, mainly because I wouldn't necessarily get an actual fish tank that I was planning on using for fish, because you kind of then have to go through the whole sealing kind of situation, because if you're getting it secondhand it might have a leak or something like that. But because it's for a terrarium, the leaking issue I wasn't too concerned with. So sorry, I'm looking at my terrarium up here because it's all done. I'm filming this backwards. So I ended up getting a terrarium off of Gumtree. Locally it was 20 quid for a rather large terrarium. I think it's 50 litres. It doesn't have any indication on here, so I will just double check that. I think it's 50 litres. And yeah, 20 quid. And all we had to do is go and pick it up and give it a wash. The guy kept it in his garden for a little while. I didn't leak test it, but when I kind of washed it out, there wasn't any water like viciously flooding out. So, you know, for terrarium purposes, that's fine enough for me. So that's kind of where I got my base material from. I'll go through all the materials in the video, but just to give you an overview, I have got LECA for the gravel layer, some charcoal, activated charcoal, some mesh, which is actually insect mesh, I think it's called. It's meant to keep out mosquitoes and stuff like that, but actually it works really, really well as a kind of separation between the drainage layer, which is your LECA or your gravel, and the actual substrate layer, which is where your plants are planted. And my substrate itself ended up being a bit of a hodgepodge. I will be putting the kind of mixture that I used into the video, but ideally you just want to go for something that has plenty of soil. Some people use coconut coir. Is it cocoa coir? I can never remember what it's called. Cocoa coir, coconut coir. I don't know. Coir. Some people use coir and perlite, but I personally prefer to have soil because it has a lot more microbial activity going on, which can be good, can be bad, but also it has more nutrients. Generally, coir doesn't have any nutrients for your plants, so in order to save me from having to fertilize it all the time, I decided to use soil. Personally, that's just what I prefer. Also, I find it hangs on to moisture quite well, which when you see how much I have mixed it in other kind of well draining stuff, that's why that makes sense. I suppose if I wasn't using stuff that's really well draining, I might have been more inclined towards coir. But basically, what I have included in my substrate is soil, perlite, orchid bark, although I completely ran out of that, so there's very little actual orchid bark in there, but ideally I wanted more, and sphagnum moss. So yeah, nice, really, really light, fluffy, well-draining substrate for the plants that I've put in there. I also chose all of my plants according to the substrate and the kind of environment. Just a note that a lot of the time substrate is hit and miss. I know from talking to other people and from Instagram and all sorts of things, that sometimes what works for one person as a substrate doesn't necessarily work for another person. It all depends on your environment, your light, your humidity, your watering habits, everything, the way that your plants are set up, the way that your substrate is set up, the way that your drainage is working, what type of plants you have. It's all very hit and miss, so there's no one size fits all formula. So just so you know that before you go out and do it yourself. But it's not the end of the world if you have to switch out your substrate. It just means you have to kind of start your terrarium again, but that is also a good opportunity for some kind of tweaking and looking after it and stuff like that. So yeah, it's all good. I will go through all the plants that I've added in. Just to note, I am obviously filming this quite a while after I did the original terrarium. So I'm going to do an update section at the end. I will timestamp everything, so make sure you check out the description, because I realize there is a lot going on in this video. So check out the description if you want to skip anything and jump to certain areas. But yeah, at the end I've got a little update kind of shot of the inside of the terrarium. I have added in an extra rock and a couple of extra plants just to kind of fill it out, because I think the first iteration was a little bit sparse, which is often the case, because you're better to underestimate than overestimate and really crowd up your terrarium. So it is kind of better to do it that way, and kind of have it more sparse and then add in as you go along, see what works, what doesn't work, what you can take out, and so on and so on. So yeah, I think that is everything that I wanted to tell you before we jump right in. Yeah, so I obviously will be doing further updates on this terrarium as, you know, as time goes on, because they, as I mentioned in the video, it will never look exactly how you plant it. They take their time to acclimate and they kind of move themselves around and settle around. Obviously not like literally move from one area to another, but you know, they don't always settle exactly as you have them put in the first place. So yeah, this is a really exciting, fun little project for me, and I am really enjoying it. I found, final thing, I found that the light for it wasn't quite bright enough, because we don't really have anywhere where I can put it directly next to a window, and I'm also a little bit cautious about putting it directly in sunlight. So I've just attached myself a grow light. Well, it's not technically a grow light, it's a clip lamp with a bulb of the appropriate wattage. It's not right, with the appropriate Kelvin. And that seems to be going really well. So I will have a little tour of it at the end, so make sure you stick around for that, or jump to it if you're not interested in the rest. And thank you for tuning in, and I hope you really enjoy it. Let me know whether you like it. Let me know also what I'm really interested in today, is because there's not a lot of my face talking, is if you find when you can't see me visually and I'm just speaking, if you find that difficult, please let me know in the comments, because I'm kind of mulling over whether I should caption this one. But I don't want, it's quite a long video, so I don't want to necessarily do that if there's nobody really interested in it. So just let me know. Yeah, that would be great. Thank you very much and enjoy the video. Okay, so this is the fish tank that I got off Gumtree, which is pretty cool. I think I probably mentioned already, because I'm filming this almost like backwards, that originally I bought this to put my begonias in over winter, but they don't seem to like it. I guess it's just a little bit too closed an environment. I don't have a lid or anything like that, but they just didn't seem keen, so in their own pots anyway. So I'm going to plant it up as a terrarium. As you can probably see, I've already put a load of LECA in, because I did. So the gravel layer that I'm sure you hear a lot of people talk about in open terrariums and closed terrariums, gravel layer is for drainage, so that your plants aren't just sitting in a potting medium and getting saturated, particularly on the roots and encouraging root rot. So this obviously took quite a bit of LECA, so I decided that it would be better just to stick it all in because I wanted to rinse out all the clay and yeah, go from there. So no particular reason why I'm using LECA instead of like gravel. You could use gravel as well. What I am going to do next is I am going to put in some charcoal. I know that there's a lot of mixed feelings as to whether or not charcoal is actually useful, but I'm going to stick in some charcoal, and then I'm going to put a layer of mesh over here to kind of separate out the potting medium from the LECA. And over that, then I'm going to put in a potting medium. So yeah, wish me luck. I'm probably not going to narrate the whole thing because this is probably going to take me quite a long time. I might even end up coming back to this several times depending on how long it takes. I don't know. So we're doing the before at the moment. So we'll just see what happens. So if you see me with different sleeves on, then that might be why. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Okay guys, I am back with some substrate. So I have just mixed this to a very inaccurate recipe of my own making. Basically, I think this is probably about 50% compost, probably about like 35% perlite, 5% orchid bark, and maths, 10% sphagnum moss. Did I do that right? Did I add that up right? That should be 100%. As I said, that's a very inaccurate measure or recipe, I suppose. Basically, all you really want is like a nice, chunky, well-draining mix that's not going to saturate your plants, but also it's not going to just run right through like a cactus mix would. So you want to retain some moisture, but not much. So we want a lot of stuff to break up the compost or break up the soil. If I had been a better planner aheader, I would have had a lot more orchid bark in here. However, I had about probably one handful of orchid bark left, so that's why there's not much in here. If I was doing this again, I would have a lot more. To be honest, the split that I'd sort of vaguely planned on in my head was about 40 to 50, probably about 40% potting soil, 30% perlite, and I don't know, maybe 20% orchid bark, and then 10% sphagnum moss. So that's what I would do if I was doing it again. However, I think we'll probably be fine with this, and this is a lot of kind of trial and error. I know that all of the plants that I'm planting in here today would be okay in this, in a pot, but being that I've not necessarily kept them in terrariums before, I'm going to say this is all just going to be a test, and if I do need to switch out the substrate at a future point, I will of course be updating you guys on that. So yeah, I will put a little insert here so you can pause the screen on the substrate mix that I would use if I was planning properly like a good human being. So yeah, pause and screenshot if you so wish. Okay, so for me at this stage, I feel like this is your, you're good, you're ready, you've got it all prepped with your substrate, and now is the time to just kind of put the plants that you want in a vague arrangement how you like it, kind of test around what you think looks nice, take the opportunity to just have a go, and while you still got them in their pots, then you can obviously move them around to your liking. So I've got a good handful here. I'll just show you a couple. I've got a Pilea Moon Valley and a little Calathea that some of you may recognize from a previous video from my Stuart's haul. And another little Calathea which is in this super cute little pot, but he's obviously going to come out of there. He's just sitting in a nursery pot in there. And I've got a Begonia Sizemore. I mean, he's a single leaf, so I'm a little bit apprehensive of putting him in here because I'm not sure if he'll survive. However, I have got a bigger plant, so it's probably worth taking the risk. Hey, I don't know if you can see that sheen on there actually. It's real pretty. And this is a really exciting part. I know you can't see me right now, but I'm just going to tell you anyway. I've got a couple of jewel orchids, which I'm going to go and grab, and a few cuttings, I think, which I'm going to stick in here. So bear with me, I will be right back. I mean, for me, it'll be like 5 minutes. For you, it'll be like 0 seconds, but I'll see you in a second. Okay, you guys, you may well notice that there are more attendees here at this little thing. I feel like a bad sign of plant parenthood is when you walk around your flat for about 20 minutes knowing that you've seen a plant somewhere but having no idea where it was. And that is this little guy, my little Photonia that I also got on that Stuart's haul specifically for this purpose. Isn't he pretty? Yeah, turns out I'd left him in my IKEA greenhouse cabinet, which I will be showing you on another day. So I do have quite a few expensive plants here. I like just to say this is a disclaimer. I know you can't see me. Can you see me like this? No, that's creepy. Just as a disclaimer, I know that I've labelled this as a cheap terrarium DIY. However, what you put into it isn't always necessarily going to be cheap. I'm just talking about how to get hold of one of these and make sure that you can do your base materials in a cheap way. Quite honestly, I don't really want to think about how much money is in this terrarium in terms of plants, but the base materials, very cheap. I will probably put a summary either here or at the beginning or somewhere of how much in total the base materials have cost me. So compared to a commercial terrarium, you're not spending much at all. So yeah, just a disclaimer. Right, I will briefly take you through the plants. I'm not sure that I'm going to put all of these in the terrarium today. I just have kind of picked out the ones that I've got earmarked for decent-ish terrarium plants. And then I'm just going to put them in here in an order that I think might kind of work. First, I suppose I should probably show you. It's kind of drippy. I hope my landlord doesn't watch this. I've got a really nice piece of Bogwood. This is actually from Pets at Home, so it was a little bit on the pricey side. You might want to go to an aquarium shop or eBay or somewhere else where you might find Bogwood a bit cheaper, or you might find it again secondhand on eBay or Gumtree or Facebook Marketplace. Usually people are selling it as reptile secondhand, reptile bits and bobs, as it were. So I'm just going to plonk this in the middle somewhere. So when I say the middle, I mean the side, clearly. He's a bit wet at the moment, so I'm not sure how well he's going to do, but I think he's going to go there. Right, just for a bit of nice kind of terrarium scaping. So, right, we've got the Photonia, as I showed you, and we've got the Calatheas, we've got the Begonia Sizemore, and I have added in this little Alocasia dragon scale. He's really cute. I got him from Twisted Leaf and Vine quite a while ago. I think he's slowly kind of declining, so maybe he needs more humidity. I don't know. We're going to see what happens in this terrarium. I think he might be well suited to it though. We have got a I never know how to say this, Aspidogyne jewel orchid, Aspidogyne argentea, which is a lovely little jewel orchid, just like this. Very silvery, very beautiful. Mine's become quite etiolated because I was keeping it in a propagation box, and he's just kind of been climbing towards the light, clearly. We've got a couple of Macodis petola, as you will see. I've got 1, 2, 3 of those. So this was originally, the plan originally was to make this into a little jewel orchid terrarium, because who can resist? And we've also got a Macodis sanderiana here. So yeah, really, really cute, really pretty. I have got a cutting of Begonia thelmae, which is actually like about to flower, which is pretty cool. It's been in the propagation box. I don't know if you can see, there's a few little tiny little roots on there. So I think I'm just going to lay that on the top and just see what happens with it. We've got another little begonia cutting. This is a Begonia rex from Belief, I think it is. I think he's called Indian Summer. And you can see I've just made it from a leaf and a root and stuck it in a propagation box. I will leave a link to the propagation box guide up on this side. So yeah, he's looking happy and healthy. We've got a little cutting of peperomia. God, I really can't tell if you can see all of this, but I hope so. At some stage that big leaf is going to come off, but while it's still a baby, I'm inclined to leave it on. I have a tiny, tiny one, which no one will probably ever see in this tank, but you never know. This is Peperomia piccolabanda. And finally, we've got this lovely fern, which I have just ripped out of the soil. But I love, love, love this fern. And I may or may not put in a Maranta, depending on if I can find a decent cutting between now and then. So yeah, as I said, I'm just going to sit these in and we'll go from there. I currently cannot decide if I want to put this fella in. I think I might plant these up as I've got them now and see how it goes, because I quite like this arrangement, but I don't know if this is just a little bit too much. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Alrighty, so I decided last minute to put a little bit more of the Asplenium in. I did end up putting the Philodendron in because it looks a little bit more bare than I expected. And I put a Cryptanthus in, which has been neglected since day one of me owning him, so hopefully this will encourage me to look after him a bit better. So that's pretty much it for putting it together. I think I could probably do with having another piece of bogwood or some kind of structural piece to kind of bring it together over here perhaps, or like a couple of little ornaments or something. So I'm going to have a think about that. I'm going to do a kind of bird's eye view tour of this shortly, just to make sure that you can see everything and that you can enjoy the true kind of visuals of it, because actually looking at it from above is so beautiful. And I suspect you're probably getting a bit of glare off here, I don't know. I'm actually really excited to see how this kind of grows out, because how you first put a terrarium together is never how it ends up. I think I'm missing some moss. I was going to put some moss in, so I'm going to have a look around, and I think I used it on another terrarium, but I'm sure there is spare in there, so I might put some moss in before I do a little tour of this. And because it'll be a couple of weeks before I actually put this video up, it might be 2-3 weeks, I'm not sure, I think I will try and do an update as well, just to see how it kind of settles out and lets itself become a living terrarium. And yeah, we'll see you shortly for a small bird's eye view tour. Okay guys, do you know what? It turns out that this direction of lighting is not necessarily better, because we've still got this kind of glare here, which I'm just going to cover over with my hand, because you know what, it's beyond me. So, okay, so here on the left we've got the little Photonia. I did manage to find some moss. This one is pretty overgrown, as you can probably see. Then we've got the lovely fern and Calathea rosea picta, Alocasia dragon scale. I don't know how he's going to do in here, you know. We'll find out basically, because he's on the struggle bus at the moment. And then we've got this Philodendron Malay Gold. Obviously our little Macodes Patola, two of those there on the left, and in the middle we've got the Sanderiana. So I hope these will do well in here. I need to do a little bit of a dusting off of these, of the soil on here. And then we've got the Begonia Thelme, Begonia Sizemore here. Lovely little fella. Can you tell how much I love this? If you're not already following me on Instagram, basically all I ever post is pictures of the Sizemore. So Godspeed, young man. We've got the Cryptanthus here. I don't know how well this will do in here, but you live and learn. I mean, this is all a learning curve for me as much as it is for any of you guys who haven't done a big terrarium like this before. I put a little bit more of the fern in. I decided to divide them up and just put a little bit extra in, just to kind of add some background foliage. Then we've got the lovely Pilea Moon Valley, which is just gorgeous. And the lovely Calathea. I love this one, he's just lovely. And another little Macodes Patola in here. Don't ask me why I've got so many of these, by the way, I have a problem, okay? I put some more moss in there, and then we've got the little Begonia Rex. We'll see how he does. We've got these tiny little Peperomia, and same on this side here. I think probably I'll give it like a few days or maybe a week to let them settle in before cutting off the big leaf. And finally, just another division of the Photonia, because I just decided it's probably nicer to have it from both sides. So there we have it. There is my full little terrarium. It's looking pretty cool, if I do say so myself. I love having so many different colours in there. Like I said, I think I need to get some more bogwood or just some kind of structural sort of pieces to put in here. As you can see, it looks really pretty. Well, this is a very awkward filming angle, but yeah, it looks really pretty, and I'm super happy with it. Now I just need to figure out where to put it so it gets enough light and enough warmth. So yeah, let me know what you think, guys. Hopefully I will come back to this at some point in the next 2 weeks before I post this as a video and give you a little update, because as I said, it will settle out on its own. Let me know what your favourite plant in here is in the comments. I mean, I think for most people it'll probably be the jewel orchids, but I could be wrong. Could be wrong. Oh, I forgot to say, here's the Begonias, whatever its name is. He's looking so droopy, but yeah, hopefully he will pick up. So yes, here we go. And oh gosh, finally, and the little Maranta in here. This Maranta baby's been struggling along for quite a long time, so we'll just see what happens. But yeah, in terms of watering, I'm going to just spray these for tonight, and not saturate them, because I think some of them will have slightly upset roots. So we'll give them a chance to kind of settle in, and I'll just spray kind of the topsoil, and then maybe tomorrow or maybe in 2 days, depending on how they're looking, I will do a proper little water. As always with terrariums, don't go crazy with your watering. Bear in mind that they have a closed bottom, there's nowhere for the water to go, so if you overwater them, it's just going to rot your roots. Alrighty. Oh, and then a little missus says hello. Lucy. Hello, Lucy. What's that? No, she's not that interested. Okay, fine. So as ever, thank you for watching. Hopefully I will update you shortly, and yeah, I will see you in a bit. Okie dokie, guys, so this is where I have the terrarium sitting. It's just kind of on a chest of drawers that we have it in the living room. And as you can see by this glare over here, there is a grow light. I will just turn that off so you can see kind of what it actually looks like and how we have it positioned. So, okay, we've got a bit of glare going on there, but that's fine. So the grow light is actually just a clip lamp off of Amazon, and the bulb is just a bulb with, I think it's 6,000 Kelvin, I'll have to double check, but I've actually found this to be a really effective and cheap way of having really nice portable grow lights where I can move them around to whichever plant is needing it at the time. So I hope that this is nice and visible. So you might notice that a few of the plants in here have changed. So on here, we'll go down to here. So these little Photonia down here are settling in really nicely. They're actually coming out a lot more red on camera than they are. They're kind of neon pink. I did end up moving the Cryptanthus over to here because you'll see in a minute, I put a rock in his place. And then we've got these little jewel orchids, and they all seem to be doing really well. And the lovely Begonia thalmae there has flowered, which is excellent. So I'm really chuffed about that. This one still doesn't show any signs of rooting, although it is growing a new leaf. So nature is weird. The moss over here is doing okay, and so is the fern, so everything's looking all good. This Calathea's gone a bit droopy. I'm not quite sure what's happening there, so I need to sort that out. I've put in an extra little fern here just to kind of fill out the background, and this little oh flippin' egg, what's it called? Alocasia beginda dragon scale. He's not doing badly actually, to be fair. I thought that he might decline sort of immediately that I put him in, but he's doing all right. So, and then we've got the Philodendron Malay Gold, which is currently suffering a kind of acclimation stress sort of situation here with one of the leaves, but you can also see here that we've got another leaf growing, so not too bad actually. Don't mind all the wires back there. I should probably have moved that, but I didn't, so sorry. And then we've got this little Photonia. I bought another Photonia just to kind of pad things out and split it up. So we've got a tiny bit here. I've got this great big rock that I bought from an aquarium shop, which has got a hole in it, which is super cool. So I actually planted a Photonia in there. I don't know whether or not that will kind of survive, but we'll see. And we've got the Begonia size moray, which has a couple of kind of burnt spots. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there, but we'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep an eye on it. I have got some more of that fern. Oh, I've really got to find out the name of that. I hope I have found it by the time that I publish this video. And the Pilea Moon Valley is doing really well. I added in a tiny bit of Photonia in the back there. A little peperomia cutting which fell off while I was replanting one of my other plants. So that is hidden in there. My Calathea macayana is doing well. This is another Calathea, or it might be a Stromanthia, I can't remember. But this is just kind of, I was tidying up another terrarium and this kind of fell out of the soil. So I thought, excellent, I can use it to pad out my terrarium. Another lovely little jewel orchid, the Begonias is much better. He's not kind of sagging or drooping anymore, he's growing upwards. I think at some stage I'm going to chop the top off and propagate him, but I'm just going to leave him be for a while because yeah, it's been a stressful journey. Did I say this Maranta? I got this Maranta leucanera, this Maranta Kershaviana, or is it leucanera? Oh god, I can't remember. My brain goes completely blank whenever I do videos. I think this is Kershaviana, and that's just a bog standard one. I just chopped it off of my big one and planted it, so we'll see what happens there. Right, coming around here, we've got this moss. I think this moss is kind of past it actually, to be honest with you. So I might take that out at some stage. I hope this isn't too dark. Let's see, there we go. And this begonia is doing really well actually. I'm still leaving the leaf on because the leaf has started to decline, which means that it is still using that leaf's nutrients for this little baby plant. And I decided to do the same. Okay, the light is not going so well. There we go. There we go. I decided to do the same and just leave the leaf on for these little peperomias, just to kind of give them the support that they might need to get properly acclimated. Acclimated? I never know which one's the right one. And then we've got another bit of Photonia. This is a fern on the outside. I'll show you here. So that is not related to the terrarium. It doesn't live in the terrarium anyway, I should say. And we've got this little Maranta leucanera fascinator, I think it's called. And he's, I don't know, he's kind of neither doing brilliantly or terribly, so that is good. I'm going to consider that a success. So overall, here is the terrarium. So I think I'm going to keep on adding to it as time goes on and taking away depending on what seems to work and what's not working. I do have a really cool little piece of wood that I might want to add at some stage, but it's a little bit big, so I need to think about how to trim that down appropriately. But I'm really happy with how this is going. I found the best way to water it is to mist it and just give it a good soaking with a mister rather than actually pouring water in, because that way I'm not kind of adding loads of moisture to the substrate that can't actually escape. Although the drainage layer seems to be working pretty well, so I am super happy with this. Right, there we go. That's about the least glary I can get it with the with the light off. So yeah, everything's looking pretty groovy. You can probably see that the actual gravel layer is not particularly even. I didn't really realise that at the time, but never mind. That's again something that you can go in and adjust as needed. But yeah, I'm super happy. Super happy. Ignore my creaky floor if you can hear that. And so here's the thing, if anyone has any mantids, my partner and I are very interested in getting a mantid and maybe keeping it in here. We would probably keep mesh over the top to keep them in. But if anyone has any experience with that, could you just let me know in the comments if you think that's an appropriate kind of enclosure for him? That would be brilliant. And yeah, let me know what your favourite plant is in here. I think I said that before, but I'm really intrigued to know what everyone really likes about this. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. Anyone who got through the full thing, I am super impressed and really grateful that you watched this with me. It's been a really fun project. As you can see, it's kind of like the centerpiece of our living room now, which is really cool. So really enjoying having a big terrarium, and I'd highly recommend it for anyone who's interested. It's a really fun project and really interesting to see how it kind of changes day by day. So thank you so much for watching as always, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I will hopefully see you again next time.